And the new one, Motor Mouse, is about two boys.
Right.
So it's all about cars.
And that's also a verse.
That's a verse novel.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's it's got a fantastic cover.
It does.
Amazing red, black and yellow and white cover.
It looks like a red sports car, and I've always wanted a red sports car.
Well, there you go. There you go. Because the two boys in the story are really into cars, and Chris is his dream is to become a mechanic for a team.
Oh, like a F1 team or something like that.
Or touring cars or something like that, or
yep.
V8s. Yeah, that's his dream. And he's lost his best friend in a car accident, ironically.
Oh, okay.
And then a new kid comes to school who is a bit of a show-off, and it turns out that the new kid, his dad is away in Europe driving touring cars.
Okay.
And so Chris can't help being kind of drawn into this kid's stories and life and so on, and then things don't quite turn out the way that Chris expects.
So I was just looking through the book, which has got lots of lovely little pictures of cars, but with the way it's written, it looks like each page has looks like a poem, really.
It is, yeah.
But can they stand alone, or do you have to read the whole? Like, if you just read one of these pages, would that make sense on its own, or is it all part of the story? You need to read the whole thing.
It's more that it's part of the story. So it's like reading a normal novel.
Yes. From
beginning to end. And actually, a couple of years ago, when I was doing a school visit, a kid said, "Oh, it's like lots of little tiny chapters." And I thought, perfect. That's a perfect explanation. It's like a story with lots of little chapters.
Well, each page does have a little heading, doesn't it? So it does look. That's probably a good way to describe it, actually. I quite like the illustrations in that. Yeah. And we're actually giving a copy of this away, aren't we?
We are.
Yes. Yep. So if you'd like to get a copy of Motor Mouth by Sherryl Clark, and when was this published?
Just March this year, 2 months ago, so it's brand new.
Hot off and that's a Puffin book. And you can either give us a call on 99198089, that's 99198089, or you can send a email to talkonfriday@hotmail.com with your name and address so I can send it off to you, and you can have a copy of pretty much a brand new book.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now so
this one.
So now we'll go back to because you've got so many books to talk about, Sherry. I should have devoted the whole show to you. And this one's called Now I'm Bigger, and it's a picture book with beautiful. I just love the cover. It's probably a toddler, and it's just got such a joyous face. It's a shame you can't see it, but you can see it when it's launched. And when are you actually launching the book?
It's going to be a celebration morning tea, and we're going to do story time at the brand new Altona North Library, which
lovely.
I'm really excited about because I live in that area, and I get lots of library fines from Altona Library because having to actually drive all the way down to Altona to take my books back is always a bit of a struggle for me. But now we have a brand new library. It's a fantastic library, and they've got a great area for the kids, and they have story time. So,
and what day was that again?
Tuesday the 29th of June at 10:30.
Do people need to book, or can they just
come along? And if you've got little ones, bring them along.
So just tell me a little bit about the story.
Well, it's kind of like a verse novel in that it does tell a story in poems of a child from birth up to about age 3, maybe 4, just at that age when kids are getting out of the cot and in the big bed for the first time.
Which is always a big deal.
Big deal.
The big bed is a big deal.
Yeah. So the illustrations are just beautiful. Nina Rycroft did the illustrations, and as you say, the little boy on the front and his teddy in their big bed for the first time. I love his face. It's such a joyous little face. You want to hug him, even though it's a picture book, you want to hug him. So she's done a great job. And it was actually published by Working Title Press. And Jane Covington, who basically is Working Title Press, she actually started Omnibus Press in Adelaide probably 25 years ago now. And Omnibus was a fantastic independent publishing company, and eventually she sold it to Scholastic and went off, and I think she did something else for a little while. And then she decided that she would start up her own publishing company again. And so Working Title Press mainly focuses just on picture books.
Okay.
And she's fantastic to work with because she's so particular and she's so keen that everything be exactly right. So,
the pictures and illustrations are just beautiful. But I like the way it goes from little bub through to which is really a big event when you get the big bed. It's like you're big boy or a big girl now when that happens, aren't you?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there's all those other stages like learning to walk and learning to talk and
potty.
Yeah, potty,
yep.
Definitely. And I remember when my daughter was I can't remember how old she was now, probably about 18 months, and had just got the hang of talking. And it was like living with a parrot. It was just unbelievable. So some of it's me remembering back to when she was little, and some of it's watching people with their kids now.
Yes.
And my niece in New Zealand, her 2 little ones. So,
lovely, lovely. Well, you've also got another book coming out, which is for a bit older children. So we'll have another song, and then we'll come back and talk about that.
Okay.
That was Ganga Jang with Sounds of Them, which is actually one of my favourite Aussie songs. I like that. So I always picture up in Queensland for some reason on a warm, warm night. And you're listening to Creative Corner with Denise on 88.9 Win FM. And in the studio with me is Sherryl Clark. And just before the song, we were speaking about your new picture book, which is being launched at the Altona North Library on
Tuesday, 29th of June at 10:30.
Excellent.
All welcome.
All welcome. And you've got another book coming out in June as well.
Yes, which hardly ever happens because normally publishers don't like 2 books coming out at once.
And they're very different books. Very different books. So this is a novel, and it's set probably for the upper primary school age.
Lower secondary, yep.
Yep, and it's actually called One Perfect Pirouette by award-winning author Sherryl Clark. And on the cover it's got a picture of a girl, a ballerina. So tell us a little bit about the story, Sherryl.
Originally this was inspired by a trip to Canberra. For the last 3 years in Children's Book Week, I've been going up to Canberra and doing school visits up there. And the very first time I went, the Children's Book Council up there are great. They invited me up, and then, because I don't know anything about Canberra, they put me up.
To know, really.
Well, apart from the fact that it's actually quite spread out.
It is, yes.
So what they did was they had volunteers who drove me around from school to school because I would do like 3 schools in one day.
Oh, wow, okay. You should need to know the city if you were doing that.
Yeah, it would be very easy for me to get lost, I think. And so the first time I went, I had this lovely teacher librarian called Moira. And Moira was actually a teacher librarian at a primary school quite close to the Australian Institute of Sport.
Okay.
And so she was telling me a lot about, they had quite a few students at her school who went to the AIS, and quite a few of the young ones were gymnasts. And so she was telling me about what it was like for those kids, that they go and train before school, they come to school, and then they would go back and train after school and train on weekends, and sometimes even in school time they would be training if there was something in particular coming up.
Very, very intense.
Very intense.
Yes.
And then she also said that, and I hadn't really thought about this, but a lot of those kids don't live in Canberra. They come from all over Australia, and they're selected for the Australian Institute of Sport because they've got the potential to become perhaps Olympic gymnasts one day, and that would obviously be their dream. And so families are choosing to up anchors and move to Canberra in order to give their kids a chance at the Australian Institute of Sport. And I started thinking about what a sacrifice that would be, you know, that probably these days both mum and dad would be working, and never mind the other kids in the family who would be at school, and the whole family would have to leave everything behind and move to Canberra for one child to be able to go to the AIS to perhaps one day.
So everyone else's life has been put in upheaval for one of the family members.